Hello there, welcome today to the video that we're going to talk about here on reasons why the Cosmetology State Board is needed. And this channel here is going to be for beauty education. As you can see from a few videos that I've already have done, it's going to be everything about the cosmetology industry. And we're going to learn some techniques. We're going to learn some theory. For the most part, we're going to start out with learning theory. And the reason why I want to do theory is because before you can get in and get into the technical side of the beauty industry, you need to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and things like that. I understand, you want to do the beautiful styles, you know how to do hair, and you want to learn some techniques. Well, this is not going to be the channel for that as of yet. We're going to do some of those things, but it won't be right now. So just bear with me, and I want you to learn about how to be the best you can be in this industry, whether it's going to be how to treat clients, how to receive clients, and then a host of other things that you would learn in a cosmetology school. Okay. Now, my name is Sandy, and I've been a beauty educator for 10 years in the state of Georgia. And also, what I have also been a cosmetologist for 30 years. I've owned my salons, I've worked in other salons, so I have the background and the education to show you. I've been there, done that for the most part. I've been there in this industry and I've seen a lot. And I have also, had the ups and downs, the highs and the lows, and the goods and the bad, and the everything in between. So I see a lot of people out here that are not don't even have the educational background, and I'm not saying that that's the only way you can know things from education, but I have a little bit of both. I have the practical side, and I have the theory side, and I have the educational side. When I went to cosmetology school back in 1992, I had to drive one way for maybe about 25 miles every day, Monday through Friday. Had my children were little then, my son and my daughter, they were little kids back then. But just to say this, just, and just not get too wrapped up into what I'm saying, to just prolong the conversation about what I want to talk to you about. I just want to give you a background of how passionate I am about this industry and what I've done along the way. So maybe you can hear what I have to say because I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Okay. So now, the reasons for the Cosmetology State Board. If this is the first thing we're going to talk about in another video that will be shortly after this, maybe then I'll drop this in another day or so. I want to give you some tips on how to pass the state board if it's somebody out there that needs to learn how to pass the state board. And I'm noticing that a lot of you are not passing the theory part of state board. Yeah, I've been researching you and checking you out and seeing what's going on so where I can help you in this industry. So that's my ultimate goal. I have 30 years under my belt in this industry, and I want to be able to help those that's coming behind me to be able to be successful because this industry has really been good to me. It has allowed me to be a single parent, raise my children without, the help of anyone, and sustaining our lives and sustaining, our household and making sure that we have food on the table. It's a struggle. So when I went through my divorce, I kind of really got back into hair like I wanted to. But as I was married, my husband, my first husband rather, he didn't think that it would be a good thing. He didn't feel like this industry was the best. But now, mind you, now his brother had been in the industry for years himself, so he didn't want his wife to be in the industry. But okay, his brother had his own salon, had his own shop. So go figure, right? I think he was trying to block the success of what could have been for me back then. So didn't see it then because I was a little young and naive. But anyway, so now let's just talk about the most important thing that I believe that's the reason why the state board is needed is because you got a governing board that's going to be able to protect the consumer, protect the public. Okay. In this industry, if you're doing nails, if you're doing if you're esthetician, if you're a barber, if you're, massage therapist, cosmetologist, we're all in contact with the public. And the public need to be protected. We need to be protected. Everybody need to be protected from diseases and bacteria and funguses and things like that. So there's a governing body that's going to require us to know certain things about, infection, to know certain things about, health, care, knowing things about, diagnosing and not diagnosing something, because we come in contact with people that we can send to dermatologists because we are not the ones. And we'll talk about that in another video of what you can determine what's going to be for you to do and what's going to be something that you need to refer your client to a dermatologist, or and it might even save their lives from skin cancer or something like that. So you need to give yourself a hand if you're in this profession. And then if you're not in this profession, you still can learn something about what are some of the things that you need to know and what you need to do to be an advocate for yourself, to take yourself on to someone that can help you to see what's going on with you. And there's alopecia. There's a lot of things that we deal with. There's also, other things, nail fungus, all these sorts of things that's important to us. And our skin is the largest organ on our body. Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that? Okay. Well, if you did, congratulations. And if you didn't, still okay. We learn something new every day. So this is not a problem. But now, with that being said, we're in contact with everything about a person when they come sit in our chairs, if we are professionals. And if you are one of the ones that are maybe on the opposite end of all of this, you still will want to know, hey, what is my stylist seeing, or what are they seeing within, is it something that they maybe that their new product line, their skincare line can kind of solve for me, or whether it's not, or whether I need to go a little bit further and go and see a dermatologist, or whatever like that. So those are important things, and the state board governs all of that. So let me share with you some of the break them down, like some of the infections. There are three type of infections, everybody. There's the bacteria infection, there's a fungi infection, and there's the viruses. Okay. So let's say, for instance, even if someone comes in your salon, or, want a service from you with a common cold. Now, I did not understand why you go in a salon a lot of times and for the most part, they're wearing masks. Well, they're wearing masks too because they inhaling those chemicals all day. And that's another thing we're going to also talk about too, the importance of our lungs and how we need to protect our lungs in this industry as well. Okay. So, because you got to think about all of the chemicals that we're inhaling and those kind of things. So that's very, very, very important. Okay, now bacteria, fungi, and the viruses, right? Those are the three infection control types there are three types of infections that the infectious microorganisms. These are microorganisms, and it's related to the cosmetology industry: bacteria, fungi, and viruses. So we have governing bodies that really, really are concerned about that. And that's why we have the state board. So where the government and the different agencies can monitor that. And we'll go over a few of those agencies in a few minutes. But let me go ahead and talk to you about this. The infection, okay, the disinfectants must be bactericide, fungicide, and virucidal. So all of these bactericidal, fungicidal, and virucidals, these are, we have to use products that's going to kill the bacteria, the fungus, and the viruses. So a lot of times, even when we're using combs and brushes and things like that, we have to keep in mind to protect the other person, or to protect the consumer, or to protect them from getting some of these infections. And that's why it's so important. And mostly, to be honest with you, if you're taking your state board exam, you may have more questions than not about infection control on your state board exam. So that's half your battle. And even when you're getting out in the public, you don't want to be you don't want to have your own business out here, and then someone come in your business, and then guess what happened? They may get up a ringworm or something like that because you didn't clean your instrument, your tools and things like that, your implements. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be the one to get a lawsuit against you, because you do know that that can happen. And for those of you that are out here doing this and that you're not professionals and you're getting paid for doing it, let's say, for instance, you are doing that, someone can come and sue you. Yes, they can. They can sue you if something happens to them. If they get a bacteria infection, they get a fungal infection, or they get a virus, they can come after you. And you will be in deep water, deep trouble, and you're doing that, charging someone, and you're not a professional. So you gotta be careful with what you're doing when you're out here doing hair and not being licensed, or giving a service of this sort and not being licensed, especially because all states now, or you have to be state board certified. So you better be careful with that. Okay, just to warn you, be careful. Okay, let's talk about, what is a bacteria? I hear the word bacteria all the time. What is really bacteria? Let's just talk about what's bacteria. Bacteria can exist anywhere. And it also is a one cell microorganism with both plant and animal characteristics. And it can only be seen under a microscope. So what is that saying to you? If you are out here in the industry, those procedures, those proper procedures of cleaning your utensils, your supplies, or whatever you're using on someone's hair, guess what you need to do? You need to follow those steps after each contact with a client, a human being, someone that you're using those instruments on. There's not a shortcut. There's not a not doing. You need to do it. Okay, I'm very stickler on that. As long as I've been doing hair, my 30 years, I have never, ever, you hear me? Never, ever had anyone to say that I gave them a fungus, I gave them anything. 30 years. So I think I can sit here and with authority and tell you how to take care of the client and take care of your services and take care of clearing out any bacteria, any funguses, and any viruses. Okay, I'm passionate about this industry, as you can tell. Now, the type of bacteria is a non-pathogenic and a pathogenic. Um, let's talk about what's pathogenic. What's a pathogenic? It's a cosi, and it's a bacilli, and it's a spirilla. Now, that's what the bacteria a bacteria is. So, with that being said, bacteria is just, it has all kind of other identifications that's going on with it. And we won't get too deep into those there, but it's just it has they have different strands is what I'm saying. So when you need to be very careful when you are working with the public, because that bacteria sits, and remember, it can what only be seen under a microscope. Under a microscope. Now it can only be seen under a microscope. So with that being said too, let me see, and I'm going to share with you some more of the other things. So if you give me a moment, I'll definitely be doing that in a second. Hold on one second. Let me do something real quick. Okay, we're back. We're back. Now, let me share with you let me let you know. We were talking about bacteria before. Okay, let's see. Let's see. We were talking about some let's see here. What we were discussing some of the bacteria strands, right? Okay. Now the coca cocoxy co co cocoxy. We gotta pronounce that. Look, I get that thing right. That's the round shape that appears singly or in the following groups. It's a staff. It's kind of like a staff. It may be a staphylocose locose. That's okay. We're gonna pronounce it that way. I could never pronounce that word. So anyway, that's the pulse-like form of the bacteria that grows in clusters like grapes. causing abscess and causing boils. So I know you've heard of that, right? And the step, so you have the strap, the staff, you have the strep, and the strep one is, it's arranged, it's like a curved line, and it has strands and beads, and then it's like it can cause strep and blood poisoning. So you normally would get that internally. And the diplo, it's the it grows in pairs and it causes pneumonia. So that's another internal one. Okay. So that's internal bacteria infection as well. So these are some of the things that can happen. And then if you're working with clients that have this kind of, kind of situation going on with them, you have to be careful. You have to protect yourself. Either you may refuse services or things like that. That's another conversation for another day. But I just want to share with you why these things are so important and why we need to learn these, because it also protects you as a professional as well. And there's also the spirilla, and that's the cord-like shape of bacteria. And also there's another one called the bacilli, and this is something with tuberculosis. And this is affiliated with tuberculosis and diphtheria and things like that. The thyroid and other things that you need to be careful of with diseases. So bacteria, keeping that down in any cost or any area, because those things can kind of like get into your surrounding areas, and that's why they want you to know about these bacterias. And so that's very important. So we definitely need to be up on that. And see, that's, so you see why that is very important and very, very, you need to know this. This is a part of our profession. We need to know these things. Okay. And like I said, even I can attest to this too as well. Even as I was working professionally, my clients never really made me sick, because I make sure that you eating right and taking care of yourself too makes a difference. Making sure after each client service, and I'm not trying to be OCD here, make sure you clean up. This is just common practice. Is make sure you keep wipes and clean and wipe out your chairs, your arms, because if somebody's may sick or may have a bacteria, may not even know they're sick, and they washing and wiping their nose, and then they putting their hands on other areas of the dryer of the chair, or just, you have to just keep things clean. That's this. You're not being OCD. You just have to be cautious and mindful that when you're working with the public, everybody is, they don't take care of themselves the same. Everybody is not clean. The cleanliness is on different levels, and you just never know. I know one time, going, and this is getting into hair. I know one time I had a client that I was working with at a company. I won't call the name. And no, shade to them or anything like that, but they couldn't help it. I mean, they had nothing to do with. The lady came in, and she was with a home health care agencies, like the personal care home, and one of the workers brought her in to get her hair shampoo. She had lice, in her hair. And then what I did was I examined her hair first, and that's how I determined she had lice. I used my comb to part her hair or whatever. I threw all of that away. Although I could have cleaned my utensils, could have cleaned my combs and implement, but I just threw them away. I don't know. It's just probably me, but I had to refuse her service because I wasn't going to do her hair in those conditions. So that's another way that you can be sure that you're protecting yourself and the next person. Because what if something happened? Somebody come behind her and she would had lice. They could have said, oh yeah, well, the client before me had lice and she gave them to me. And that's a lawsuit against you. So be very mindful and be very intentional and be very observant of things like this, especially when it comes down to bacteria, right? Okay, so that is. And then also bacteria generally consist of excuse me, it's in our foods, and it's just like I said earlier, it's just surrounding our environment. It's there's a lot of things going on, you know. It's just sales, your sales are just all over the place. And so you got to keep that in mind, and you got to know that there's a growth, even though bacteria can grow. Do remember that too. And that's why you need to keep things wiped down. And that is why it's so important, because the state board want to protect the public, and they're going to make sure that you are following the guidelines. So if state board ever comes in your place of business and they see that you're not going by the guidelines, that's why they find you. Okay, because you can cause somebody's health to decline in more ways than you think. So you just better be careful when it comes down to keeping the bacteria down as you're working, or even you keeping yourself free and your clients protected and free of these bacteria that I'm mentioning to you, and then ways that they can, occur to other people. So you just have to be very careful. Okay. Now, you can pick up some of these things from doorknobs, countertops, surfaces. You can, it can be also, something can happen. Someone can get food poison, whatever it is, skin to skin contact, all kind of ways that you can get, you know, get bacteria infections. And sometimes people don't know where they get it from, because they've been all in a day's run. They've been a lot of places that they really don't even realize that they can. Because I know, there's a thing in the industry as well, is you don't get a, basically, I got a pedicure done. I had shaved my legs like 2 or 3 days before I got the pedicure. I know better than that. I should have waited longer than that. But I wasn't thinking. I don't know. But anyway, I had to take an antibiotic. This was just last year that happened to me. We're in 2024 now. This was in 2023. I knew better. But like I said, I wasn't really thinking about, 3 days or that, because I spontaneously, I just got my pedicure done. But by her, rubbing on me. And I think that washcloth, that, the one that they put around your leg and make it warm, to have it warm or whatever, I believe that's where I got the bacteria infection from. So whether could I have blamed her? I didn't, because I thought about it. Well, I didn't blame them for it. So that's why you got to be careful too, who you are going to, if you are a consumer. Even some of us that are professionals, we have to be careful to where we're going to get services from, because they may not be following proper protocol when it comes down to disinfecting, making sure that you eliminate the bacteria, or you keep the bacteria down, or you avoid from getting the bacteria around your place of business or things like that. It's very important that you know this. Now, the next thing is we're going to talk about the virus. We'll talk about the virus a little bit. And this might be a boring conversation, but this is a needed conversation. You need to know about these things. A virus is a microorganism capable of infecting almost any plants or animals, including bacteria. Okay, so the virus is on another level. So it's a microorganism that is capable of infecting almost all plants and animals, including bacteria. Okay, so that bacteria can be either part of your body. So that's why you have to use an antibiotic when the doctors, for the most part, are treating a virus. Okay okay and a virus can cause colds, common colds. It can cause, respiratory and, gastric, gastrial infections. And it can cause anything. So we have to be careful even with viruses. Okay. This, maybe you don't think about it, but it's so important. And it can live and produce only by penetrating other cells and becoming a part of them. So it's hard to kill without harming the body in the process. So remember that. Not affected by antibiotics, is not affected by antibiotics. Vaccination can help prevent virus from growing in the body, but it just like these viruses here that we're speaking of, is just like HIV and hepatitis. You have to be careful how, like for instance, you have to put on gloves, using precautions. If a client, you may not know this client is sick. See, this is why you have to be so careful too. You don't know who's infected with HIV that come and sit in your chair, or you may do services for. Hepatitis, some people are not going to tell you their status on anything in life, or especially about something like that. So that's why you have to be precautious and be proactive, and use cleanliness to keep and prevent these things from happening. Okay. All right. Now, If you're using tools without the proper cleaning, and you can infect other people. You don't want anybody to try to say that you infected them with anything. That is something that you do not want on your business if you're a profession. And that's something that, as a consumer, as a customer, you don't want that as a reality for your life. Okay? Now, hepatitis is one of those diseases that damages your liver. Okay? It's present in all body fluids, making it easier to contract than HIV. So, this is a little easier for you to contract the hepatitis. It can live on the surfaces outside the body for long periods of time. It can live outside of the body for a long period of time. There's three types of it. It is A, B, and a C. And the hepatitis B is mostly difficult to kill on the surface. So you definitely want to make sure that you're still keeping things clean, okay? You see, it's so important. Now, the HIV, which is called the human immunodeficiency virus, that virus causes AIDS, and that's the acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So that can lead into AIDS. But how is it spread? It's spread through the blood. It's spread through your blood, semen, and vaginal secretions. Persons can be infected for many years without having any symptoms. Tests can determine within 6 months after exposure to the virus. Sometimes I think now it might be a little bit more, I think it might be determined a little sooner than that because of advanced technologies and things like that. It might be. The last I checked, it was. And then you can spread it through needles, and you can spread it through drug uses, of course, sexual activities and things like that. And casual contact, and it's not passed through those avenues, like just casual. But it's good to know what you're working with, and it's good to know these things. It's good to know. Okay. Now, your bloodborne pathogens, that's a bacteria or virus that is carried out through the body in other blood and fluids. So the pathogens are very important. Like I said, we talked earlier, and that's a part of the bacteria. Remember, we talked about that earlier. So how does a pathogen even enter your body? This is key. Listen to this. This is key. Pathogens enter our bodies through broken skin, like cuts. So if you're cutting someone's hair, if you're cutting, barbers, or you may be edging, even females, you use the T-edgers, and your broken skin or something like that, that can cause that pathogen to get into the skin. Okay. And if you're using instruments that are just full of bacteria and all those kind of things, this person can really, really have an issue on their hand. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you see now the importance of you making sure that instruments are clean? Things are just superb. You're cleaning, you're using cleaning tactics after every client service. We teach you this in Beautyschool. That is something you must do. A lot of people don't do it. They just rinse the water off, the rinse or something, the combs off. Don't put it in the barbicide jar. Don't let it sit in there and work, and let the solution break those, if there's any bacteria down. So way you will prevent the next person from getting harmed by your instruments. That needs to be done, but it's in some cases it's not. It needs to be. Okay. Now, other ways it can enter the body: through the mouth, contaminated water, food, or fingers. Somebody just always, yeah, I never could understand why people don't wash their hands all the time. Wash your hands, people. The nose, inhaling dust, anything like that. The eyes and the ears, unprotected sex. These are other ways that you can get pathogens. The body prevents and controls infections with healthy, unbroken skin So that your skin is your protector, the largest organ in your body. Did you know your skin protects you from a lot of infections? Did you know that? Your skin protects you. It does. So that's why you need to take care of your skin. That's a part of the industry too. We have to know how we're going to help our clients take care of their skin as well. The body prevents and controls infections with body secretions such as perspiration and digestive juices. White blood cells within the blood that destroy bacteria. So white blood cells, you want to make it, and I'm not trying to get all medical on you here, but this is why a lot of times when a person has an immune disease or, maybe going through chemo or things like that, when your white blood cells are broken down, that's why they're so susceptible to getting bacteria infections, y'all. That's why. That is why. Okay. And then also your antibiotics that counteract with the toxins produced by bacteria and viruses. So those things will help you. They will prevent and control infections on you. Now, the parasite form. The parasite, remember, this is the plant or an animal organism that lives in or around another living organism, and it draws their nourishments from that organism. So it's trying to parasite, just like a parasite. Parasite sucks out of you. So just think about that. Parasite. Ugh. Okay. Now fungi, it includes mold, mildews, and yeast. Can produce contagious disease such as ringworm. Remember I talked about ringworm. That's a parasite. You must clean and disinfect your clippers, blades, and any kind of shears or scissors, or shears. We say shears, don't say scissors. Any of our cutting shears, to avoid spreading a skin infection. Now that Tinea barbea is the barber's itch. That is the most frequent, like when you got, ooh, golly, my head itch. Oh, when you get up, especially when somebody is around that area, in your nape area with that. Yeah, that's that parasite. So you must prevent that within your clients. You must do that. Nail fungus can be spreaded also with using dirty implements. Your nail fungus. A lot of people suffer from nail funguses, and a lot of folks have them. If you are out here going to be doing nails, and if you are someone going to receive the service of nails, you better know that those instruments are very clean that they're using, because you can leave there with an infection that will probably can cause you to have an amputation if the bacteria keeps growing and growing and growing. Sometimes we don't realize bacteria can spread, you guys, and it can cause major problems in your bloodstream. So this is why the state board is really, in my opinion, is so needed, because you have different agencies that is going to be, that has different things that is going to, it's going to be important for you to learn and know, even with chemicals and things like that. It's just a lot. And because, and it's the middle of the day, and I'm sorry. So listen, let's go. Let's talk about headlights. Remember, I told you about headlights. Let's talk about headlights a little bit. It can cause skin disease, such as pediculosis, capitis, and scabies. Y'all done heard of scabies before? Have y'all ever heard of that? Yes, scabies. And sometimes those bugs come because they come from unclean people. People that are not clean, don't even bathe and cleanse their skin, and can. And that's why exfoliating scrubs, those are so good too. Let me tell you, because I got a little line of exfoliating creams and stuff, and I gotta start making some for the holidays as we speak though. But those kind of things, that is, removing all of that dead skin and just replenishing your skin, because our skin sheds anyway, so anyway, You got to keep your largest organ in your body. You got to keep it protected. So that is, it's so necessary for us to have all of these things. It really is. And let's talk about the prevention, the sanitation portion. And this is why State Board want you to go by a curriculum approved by the state guidelines, approved by the FDA guidelines, approved by OSHA, approved, because even chemicals can cause something going on with your skin. You have to be careful with those things. Now, sanitation is the removal of any visible dirt or debris. That means cleaning. Okay, now don't get it all wrong and don't get it all twisted now. It can reduce the number of germs on a surface when you are sanitizing and cleaning. And sanitation must occur before you disinfect anything. Sanitation is the removal of any visible dirt and debris, right? That's sanitizing something. Now, like, okay, removing of any dirt. Okay, for instance, sanitation. That is when you got your combs, you're cleaning your combs and your implements, your combs, your brushes or whatever. You're cleaning those things. You're removing all dirt and debris. You move do that first. Then you disinfect. Remember I said that earlier. You don't disinfect, just you got to clean something off before you can disinfect it, okay? Because it's going to reduce the number of germs on the surface. So you got to do that. Those are just steps that it's just normal. It's been like that ever since I've been doing hair. I've been 30 years. It won't change today. Okay. And then also, even though you clean a surface or anything like that, it still can have pathogens on them. It still can. So you got to come up with methods like scrubbing and then using there's using kind of like ultraviolet, electrical devices on certain things to kind of sanitize and to clean. Now, disinfecting and sterilization, those are the other two we're going to go over, and then we're going to stop today. But, knowing your disinfectant, it is the process that kills most, but not necessarily all microorganisms of non-living surfaces. And the disinfectants are chemical agents that destroys all bacteria, fungi, and viruses, but not spores on surfaces. So you disinfecting it, it's gonna kill. It is destroy most bacteria and fungi and viruses. It's gonna destroy those. So then the last part, and then you come into the sterilization part of everything, and it completely eliminates any microbial life, including spores, necessarily when surgical instruments are used on the body. Any kind of vascular instruments are used on your body. So you want to know the sterilization. And then what is a method of a sterilization? It's a high pressure heat or autoclaves, steam or autoclaves. And then some are chemicals. Sterilization is you can do it in chemical forms too. Estheticians must sterilize and reuse reusable needles and probes that lance the skin. You definitely have to make sure, you guys are definitely the ones that need to make sure that you are using this method, sterilization, estheticians, working on someone's skin. So you have to learn these things, and there are different agencies that will make sure that you're doing what you need to do. Yes, the agencies are going to be, you got the EPA, and you got OSHA. You have a few other agencies. Yeah, they're not playing with y'all. They're not playing with you. And State Board is going to help govern them. The state requires, the state says you have to know certain things. The state is saying the federal agencies, OSHA, and having the MSDS, that is required, knowing what you have, even if you're using products in your salons, and even if we're using products, you have to, It's mandated. So if we are in the industry of using things that's going to require a state, the guidelines of state and federal laws, do you not think that the board is there has to be a state board? Yes, there has to be a state board to govern that, because we don't properly know. I'm sure some of you, some of the information I went over, I'm sure some of it you didn't even know, or you never thought about how important it was, even in the cosmetology industry. I'm willing to bet you. I know it. So, Cosmetology State Board is needed. And I don't know who think that it shouldn't be around, but it's needed. And it's going to be needed as long as you're going to be doing, and you know, and until they want to change the laws, but I don't think they will. It's needed because it's going to protect the consumer and it's going to protect you. It can protect you from a lot of things that bodily contact can cause, and the results, some of the results are not so favorable if you get attached to a virus, a bacteria infection, or or fungus or something. So anyway, that's all I want to say today. And I know this was kind of like a, no, you didn't really want to talk about hair, but these are things that we must understand and must know in this industry. And then I think that we will take this industry to the, take this profession and treat it as such, like the importance of it as it is. It's not all about just doing hair. It's not all about just making sure your hair is laid and making sure your wig is on tight and your weave is all put together. You need, sometimes you need to let your scalp breathe. And we'll talk about that in another video, of the importance of letting your hair just get some air. Your scalp needs to get some air, not necessarily your hair, your scalp. And we're going to go over the science behind this hair. What is this hair all about? What is it? The textures, what you do on each. Is so much to learn in the cosmetology industry. And I'm here to give it to you. So I'll see y'all in the next video. Next videos won't be this long. So I just wanted to kind of talk to you and introduce myself a little bit and talk about some of those things. But anyway, I hope that helped. Alrighty, see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.